There was a lot of hype about this shoe, and I bought in. After the disappointment of the On Cloud Monster 2, will this be the long run shoe of my dreams? I've run about 250 Ks in it so far, so I've got a pretty solid idea. Stick around and let's find out. So quick disclosure before we get started, I bought this shoe with my own money, so my thoughts are mine, so take it with a grain of salt and a little bit of context. I'm an 85 plus kilo guy who runs a fair bit, mostly on concrete. With that out of the way, let's dive in to a little bit of an overview of this shoe, the Mizuno Neo Vista. Now, like I said, massive hype when it was first released, or even before it was first released, all over Instagram, secret shoe, all of this sort of stuff. So really good marketing, and hey, I was a sucker, I bought right in. The marketed position is that it is a super trainer, which means it's competing against things like the On Cloud Monster Hyper, Super Blast, Adidas Prime X. They're a high stack training shoe with soft, cushiony midsoles, like performance-based midsoles. They might have features like a plate or something like that, but they're not finely tuned for racing, but they're designed to be that little bit more hard-wearing and a bit more comfortable for training. The major design features that attracted me to this one, there is underneath, there's a glass infused nylon plate. Basically, that's a fancy way of saying there's a plastic plate there. You can see, you can hear. Okay, it's not carbon, but it is there to give you that little bit of stability. It's got a wicked rocker on it. Like, have a look at it. That's huge. There's, from front to back, got a really good rocker on it. That interested me. They've got what Mizuno are calling their Energy NXT foam, and all reports were that it was quite squishy, quite soft, quite comfy. It had this really cool split midsole. So there's a big cavity. If you can see that, there's a big cavity taken out of the middle, which is designed to just make it that little bit softer and help with that smoothness. Last of all was the booty upper. Now, I've got to acknowledge my bias here. I love a booty upper. I think they're the best thing since sliced bread. I would love it if all of my shoes had a booty type upper. They are so flexible, they are so comfy, it's just amazing. You're gonna hear a lot of very biased thoughts about the booty upper. So my usage, I bought this pretty much for long runs. I wanted it to be my favorite long run shoe that I was gonna fall in love with. Spoiler alert. I have fallen in love with it. So I bought it mainly for long runs, and those runs that are a little bit steadier. Not my recovery run, that I've got a different shoe for. This one was just those ones that I wanted to tick the legs over that little bit faster. Most of my running in these was going to be on concrete. So I live in Cairns. We've either got mountainous trails up the mountains, or we've got flat concrete. There is no in between. We don't have those rolling dirt roads because they would just get washed away in our summer rains. And to get to those rolling dirt roads, I've got to drive like an hour up the hill, and I'm not going to do that. So most of my running is done on concrete. With that in mind, I don't mind sacrificing a little bit of stability in the shoe and having a bit of squish that I've got to switch myself on for and concentrate for, because that's what I'm trying to do with my long runs and my steady runs. I'm trying to push myself and push my legs to run with really good form. In my actual use so far, I've done 250 Ks. This is a long overdue review. Pretty much all of my long runs for the last few months have been in this, and I've done the occasional steady run, but the way my training's been structured lately, I haven't been doing any really shorter steady runs. I've just been doing long runs, recovery runs, and workouts. And I have just been caught off guard and done the occasional workout in it, which it worked fine. So let's talk about wear and tear. If we have a look at the outsole, there's and tear. There is that little bit that's starting to come undone where it's starting to wear away just at the tip there. But like after 250 Ks, to have an outsole that looks still pretty fresh, still pretty grippy, it's not slipping and sliding everywhere, it's still going really, really well. That rubber compound, they've done really, really well with that. In terms of the midsole, like we said before, that exposed little bit there, it just happens to be, that's the way my foot rolls. So when I hit the ground, my foot goes just out ever so slightly like that. And that's how I toe off. So I literally toe off from that point. So that point there is the worst possible point for me to have exposed foam. So that's a weakness that my foot is exploiting at the moment. Probably not going to be that way for most people. I think most people would tend to follow this line here and toe off that way. Doing a bit of damage, but I think most people that would be fine. I was really worried when I first got this shoe because it looked like, so there's a spot where there's two pieces of foam glued together over the nylon plate, and we can sort of see there that glue looked like it was coming apart a bit, but that hasn't exacerbated at all over 250k. So it was obviously just superficial and doesn't matter. The glue's holding beautifully strong. In terms of the upper, any wear and tear? No, it's still beautiful. It still looks brand new. There's no stretch, there's no issues. If I have to find the tiniest imperfection, what you can see is that eyelet hole there is starting to stretch that little bit through the foam. But even when that cuts all the way through, you can see there's the little bit of stitching around there that's going to protect that. So over the next 400 to 500 Ks, probably 400 considering how big I am and how much I go through my shoes, that'll catch, that won't be an issue. It is still the most beautiful upper and the most comfy, snug upper that you will find on a shoe. It fits true to size, and realistically with the upper design the way it is, it's always going to, it's going to stretch for you, but also it's going to conform. The comfort is amazing. I am absolutely in love with this shoe. It is cloud-like. Even after 30 odd Ks for a long run from marathon training, you still have the roll, you still have the squish there. You're not bottoming out. It's literally the best long run shoe I have ever had. In terms of the lacing, absolutely fine. They've added some embroidery and some stitching down here either side to help you get that locked in feeling. They've also manipulated the booty mesh, so you can see in certain points it's more banded and more dense and you can't stretch that. So those bits that are banded there and stitched well, you can't stretch those. The mesh bits, there's a bit more stretch, but they push out, and then certain bits up the top, there's plenty of stretch there. So they've really manipulated that and got that right. For what I wanted out of this shoe, it is absolutely nailing it. Ticking along at 5 to 510 per K for me. My legs just tick along beautifully, and that just keeps happening kilometer after kilometer. And it makes the long runs an absolute dream, and I still look forward to it to put this shoe on. My thoughts, and I've shared a lot of my thoughts already, but really the major positives for me are the rolling. The rocker that we have, it's pretty much the whole way through. There's just that little flat bit, and your legs just tick over, whether you're hitting with the heel, like I was when I first started wearing the shoe. You hit with the heel and just tip forward, and it just propels you forward every time, and your legs tick over beautifully. The squish. That squish is just something to behold, and it is delightful underneath your foot. It does get a little bit squirrely, and your heel can get a little bit mushy if you're not careful, but really, considering I'm trying to take it on long runs and when I'm trying to focus, that's actually quite a good thing, because it means it keeps me switched on. The other beautiful thing is that as your feet expand, I run in the heat all the time, as your feet expand in those hot long runs, the booty expands with it. It is just such a comfortable shoe to run in. The only negative I can find is that instability. I ended up in a situation where this was the only shoe that I had available to me, and I had to wear shoes inside a bar, and this was the only shoe I had. It was actually quite difficult to walk around, and I had to be really careful moving around because it can feel quite unstable when you're just standing around. When you're just running and ticking the Ks over, great. Walking around with a plate of food, it can be a little bit disconcerting. So just be mindful that you do need to have fairly strong lower leg muscles and whatnot. If you've got dodgy ankles that tend to roll on themselves because they're not strong enough, you might want to rethink this purchase. So anyway, my recommendations. Who should buy this? One, big guys like me who run on concrete. It's soft, it's cloud-like, it's an absolute dream, and your legs tick over beautifully the whole way. It's the first pair of shoes that I've managed to do 35 plus K long runs in and not bottom out and not be hating the shoe by the end of the long run. The next one is heel strikers. I found really quickly, really early on, that my foot and my gait really wanted to hit that midsole rather than heel strike in this. So I think this has been a big factor in the change of how I've been running over the last few months, because it just feels good in this shoe to hit midfoot and hit underneath my body and keep ticking along. Last recommendation is I would make sure you're an experienced runner before buying this. I would not buy this if you're new to the game, because of that instability, you might find it a little bit disconcerting to run in. So how will I use this shoe moving forward? Definitely, this is going to be my long run companion for at least the next 400 Ks. There's a fair chance that when the next one comes out, I will probably buy that too, because this is a beautiful shoe and I absolutely love it. If you've got any questions, any comments, any thoughts you want to share, please leave them. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. For now, that's it. I think it's a great shoe, no matter what the price point you're getting it at. it's a beautiful shoe and you won't regret it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.